My Fertility Path, brought to you by the Fertility Awareness Advocate Initiative.
Did you know that it's possible to do so many IVF cycles without achieving the goal? Today on the show, we will be looking at what happens when IVF fails. The show is My Fertility Path, and it is brought to you by the Fertility Awareness Advocate Initiative, FI. This is the only show where we talk about real-life struggles, the treatment available, and the joys that come thereafter. My name is Nse Ikpe Etim, and you're welcome to the show. Our guest today is Mr. Victor Diale. In a quest to complete their family, his wife and himself went through various fertility treatments, bearing all the emotional and psychological trauma. They, however, found their strength in each other through their journey, and he is here to share with us their experience. You're very welcome, Mr. Diale.
Thank you very much.
How are you?
Very good, thanks. Very good.
So what was it like when you realized your wife hadn't conceived after a year in marriage?
Well, so first of all, it's interesting that you introduced me as Victor Ngozi Diale, because my wife is supposed to be here, but she's not. So I'm carrying my wife inside of me. So she's here in spirit.
Oh, bless.
And it was an interesting episode in our lives, because we have been very, very close. You know, we got married through some very interesting circumstances.
Please tell us a little
We
story.
met by chance.
Oh.
I was working in a bank. She came in to do her industrial attachment. She was only supposed to be there for a few months. And then, someone found a picture on the floor, brought it to me and asked if that was my sister. I said, no, I don't have a sister in the bank. I said, no, it's your sister's picture, isn't it?
Oh God, I have goosebumps.
I'm like, wow. Okay, so I took the picture and I started looking for the owner of the picture, and that's how we met. And several years after, we got married. We were expecting that within 1 year of marriage, we would have children. And first year came and went, no child. Second year, no child. And we started to get worried. But I was quite confident that it was not going to be a problem in our marriage. But as a woman, she felt very bad about it. So I went through, having to comfort her at night when she's crying, and especially when, at the end of the month, when she sees the
monthly cycle,
it becomes a moment of grief for her. And I knew I had to stand by her as a pillar, which I really did.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was tough.
That's a beautiful story.
Thank you.
And so at what point did you think it was a fertility problem? When did you think you had to seek for help?
Well, it's been a long time. We were married almost 20 years. So I can't quite remember.
Yes.
I'm sure she will remember. But it was after a few years, probably in the third or fourth year.
Okay.
We really started to think about it as a real problem. And the good thing for us was that we didn't start running all over the place.
Okay.
We decided to go to experts. So we went to see doctors, and then we went through the process. And we had our first cycle. Unfortunately, it wasn't successful, and that was devastating.
Hold on. How did you feel when your first cycle failed?
Truly devastating.
Oh.
So, as you know, as you probably know, IVF is not cheap.
I know that
So
it
it
has
took
its
a lot
cost
of our
implications.
resources. And we were expecting and hoping, we're Christians, praying and trusting God that, this was just going to happen, right, by faith. some people think IVF is not of God, but it is, because the doctors can only do so much, right?
Okay.
So through the IVF process, they can just do something to make the egg and the sperm come together and then put it back in the woman. And then after
in vitro fertilization, as it is.
and then after that, they can't do anything.
No, they
So
can't.
it's God. So I saw it as a very godly process. So we really took it as a godly project. And after the prayers and everything, and waiting for that 1 week or 2 weeks where we have to do a pregnancy test,
It's
and
about 14 days or so.
we're hoping for a positive result, but it came out negative. We were truly devastated. But then we looked at it as, one mountain that we had to surmount, and then a burden we had to carry. And then we looked forward to life, more positively after that.
When did you try again?
Where?
When did you try again? When did you decide that you could try
Again.
So
we had another cycle almost immediately.
okay.
And that too was not positive. Okay? And after that, I said to my wife, you know what? This thing is not cheap. So let's just leave it for some time. So we stopped doing IVF. We were trusting God for several years. So we waited many, many years. And then the third one finally came through. And now we have a fantastic bouncing baby boy. We had a girl 10 years after we got married. So we have a girl. She's about 10 years old now. And then we have a boy who's just about 16 months.
So he's 16 months old now.
Yes.
Did you do IVF again?
Well, after the 16 months, not yet.
Okay.
Not yet. But it's possible that we're going to have another one.
Was the boy IVF as well?
The boy came to IVF as well, yes. Came to IVF as well. And, for some reason, we haven't been able to conceive naturally, biologically by ourselves. And it just happens that we need help. And I think that's something that a lot of people don't realize.
Yes.
Sometimes you just can't do it alone.
Yes.
And you just need the support of an expert,
Yes.
a fertility expert.
You need medical support sometimes,
It
and
just-
that's why they're there.
Exactly. It just happens that way.
Yes.
Just like every other, biological thing in our bodies, we might need help.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your story with us, Mr. Victor Diali. When we return, we will be joined by a resident doctor, Dr. Abayomi Ajayi. When he comes, he'll speak to us in detail about IVF, what can cause the failures, and how you can handle this. Welcome back to the show. You're still watching My Fertility Path. Earlier on the show, Mr. Diali shared his experience through a series of IVF and how they dealt with it. We're now joined by our resident doctor, who's Dr. Abayomi Ajayi, and he'll be talking us through what IVF is. Should I say welcome again?
Oh, yeah. Why not?
You're welcome. You look lovely today.
Thank you.
I love your suit.
Thank you. I know I'm coming to meet you on the set, so.
Doctor. Thank you. So tell us, what is IVF?
Well, IVF is one of the assisted reproductive techniques which involves bringing the sperm and the egg together outside the body.
Okay.
Actually, that's what the meaning of in vitro fertilization means. It means fertilization takes place outside the body.
And how many types are available?
Oh, okay. There are quite a number. We started, the first one was in 1978. And after that, there have been so many variants.
Okay.
From that, in the sense that in 1978, IVF was only for when there was a female problem. Okay, when the tubes were blocked.
Yeah.
Then we had gone from there to finding solution for the male, which we call ICSI, which involves us taking one sperm cell and injecting it into the egg. So mainly but so many other variants have really cropped up, but these are the two main categories.
So the ICSI and the IVF.
That's right.
So, for instance, a couple tries, like as in the case of Mr. Jali, they try. How soon can they try again?
Oh, that really is a personal decision, because they could do it almost immediately. Okay.
And there's no effect on the body?
No. Because you see, the drugs that we use are the natural hormones. They're just given in a higher dosage than what the body will normally produce. So it's completely safe to do it even back to back if possible. The most important thing is the patient or psychologically ready for it. That's what we need to work on. As long as you're good psychologically, we're also good to go.
Yeah, because it can be a bit, it's draining actually, mentally.
It is.
I just think, look, I can only imagine how people would feel. Well, I know how they feel. So, well, this elephant in the room, I can confidently say that I have felt it before. That's when IVF fails. My experience is, I don't know, for me it was, I just wake up and I realize, that it didn't hook.
No better way to describe it.
No better way to describe it. And I looked at myself and I thought, oh, so this is really the cross I have to bear, because mentally, I can't do this again. I just, from that second, I started saying, I'm not going to do this. I really can handle this. I was muttering to myself. And then I realized, wait, this is real. Then I'm tapping him, I'm telling him, listen, it didn't work. He goes, how do you know? I'm like, because I see signs. And we go back to of course it wasn't there.
To buttress what you just said now, there was a major review in 2017 of about 56,000 women who went through IVF in Australia.
Yes.
They went through about 120,000 cycles. And they saw that about 30% of the people dropped out.
Oh, yes.
Because of the experience they had in the first one. And that's why it's so important that before you go in, that you are psyched up.
Yeah.
Especially to take failure when it comes.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things, that we get in our own society, whereby sometimes, even when the doctor is trying to explain to the people that this can fail, all they're saying is not my portion.
Yes. I know. They say that. And what kind of people should go for IVF? What do you think? I think anyone can.
Anyone can.
Yeah?
Anyone can.
All right, doctor. When we return, we'll take some of the questions we've heard from you and on the streets. Please stay with us. You are still watching My Fertility Path. We still have with us the Dr. Abayomi Ajayi, the CEO of Nordic Fertility Center. But before we continue, would you be interested in IVF if you're struggling with infertility?
Why not? IVF is not bad at all. If you're trying to conceive, and let's take for instance for the probably 5 years you've not been able to conceive, and IVF happens to be an option. I know of people that have tried it before and it's worked for them. So if I have a friend that has such issue or challenge, why not? So far, it's your baby. Even if it is IVF, the fact that it's IVF doesn't mean that it's another person's child. It's still your own child. It's just the process. It's just the process that's actually changed.
I think it's mostly driven by lack of education and enlightenment. People tend to stereotype and judge things. Therefore, topics like this should be sensitized constantly. Constant education. Talking about it, there's nothing to be ashamed of. A child is a child. So far it comes through the technology, whether it's coming through technology or not, it doesn't really matter. A child is a child.
So when I see women in that case, I will use stories of people that have tried it in the past and they came out successfully. And I want to let people to understand that having a child does not necessarily mean you must be the biological mother of that child. No, you can still adopt a child. And to me, the knowledge I have is that who comes out to be my parent is who made me who I am.
I think that definitely all options should be explored. What typically I have seen in my experience is that a lot of people sometimes also get too fixated on the problem. So they spend a lot of money, so IVF is also not cheap. It's a fantastic option if you can afford it. It's not always successful, but it does have a good success rate. So I think that if you explore all these options, it's good that you have a lot of options and you explore all these options. But then if that doesn't work, there are always other options, if you see what I mean.
And me going through the process of having IVF done doesn't mean that I am not a mother. I'm still a mother. So IVF is not a bad idea.
Wow, that was expected.
Yeah.
Let's check some of the social media questions. I think I have one because I quickly read it.
Okay.
It says, can I get luck with IVF as a woman who's 41 years old?
Well, the simple answer is yes, but the corollary to that is that your chances are not as good as somebody that's younger.
Why?
Because of we always talk about age and reproduction. So the chances are not as great as, but you could still have about 15% chance of success compared to somebody who is either in an early 30s, before 34, who can have up to about 40%.
40% chances.
For one cycle. But yeah, so that's...
so this 15% is just one cycle?
It's just one cycle.
Yeah, that's tough. So there's another question. It says, I've had 2 failed IVFs and I am tired already. The trauma is hard to bear. My husband wants us to try, but I don't know what to do.
Well, that is not abnormal. But some of the things that we try to say is that, okay, fine. What is the alternative? Okay, if you need IVF. So sometimes it's difficult, it's a very difficult bullet to bite, but with a lot of hand-holding, it's possible for you to do it again. And one of the things that we also need to emphasize when you're going for IVF, that success is cumulative in IVF. Just like when I told you 15% for one cycle, depends on your age group. Mm-hmm. Because the best that you can get for one cycle is about 35% to 40% when you're in the very prime of life. But if you do about 3 to 4 cycles, this could go to as high as about 69 to 80%.
I can imagine how she feels, because the truth is, I know that men feel, but they can't feel what we feel.
Yep.
You know, the waking up in the morning, the looking at the certain time you need to inject yourself, all that takes a toll on you. So I can understand the trauma that she feels, because she's probably looking at her partner and saying, but you don't know half of what I've been through already.
But the part to this, the what to look out for sometimes is that that study that I spoke about, what they found out was that women probably will have gotten about 67% more babies if they are persisted in doing IVF. So sometimes, not just persisting, I know it's difficult to persist, but not persisting robs us of the chance of success. So it's something that we need to continue to see how we can.
So counseling is key.
It's just too important.
So what's the cost implication of IVF?
We're always very careful about talking about cost, because there is no uniformity in pricing. So you can only talk about one clinic. So it's one thing I'm always skeptical about discussing. So it's better that if you choose a particular clinic, go there, have an inquiry. Most clinics do free inquiries. So it's non-binding. You can get all the information and decide whether it's something you want to do or you don't want to do.
Yeah, but personally, I think that apart from the fact that it's cost, it can have a cost implication that can be a bit steep, I think that IVF is somewhat personal. I think it's you need to connect to the person.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the kind of energy you feel.
Try.
That's what makes it. For me, that's what it is, personally.
Yeah,
that's how I felt.
agree with you. And that's why I'm always skeptical about talking about definite figures.
Definite figures.
Because you need to see that the kind of people are the people who are treating you are the kind of people that you want to be able to you can trust.
Trust, yes.
Because nobody sees sperm, nobody sees eggs.
And so it's just based on trust.
It is based on trust.
Is it painful?
Painful is not a picnic. It's discomforting. I think the problem more is more psychological. I've been there,
because you're answering this question. I've been there, and I want to argue.
Yeah, but I think the pain is even more psychological than physical.
Yes, it is. It's mental.
Exactly.
It's exhausting.
Exactly.
Mentally exhausting.
Exactly.
Physically draining.
Yeah.
Mentally exhausting. The pain's more.
And the fact that your hopes are heightened, and then suddenly it's dashed when it comes down.
There's something that Yoruba people say, jabo.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Ojabo.
Ojabo.
Yeah. So, but that's why counseling is so important, even before you start. Coming to terms with the fact that this can fail.
Yes.
But it's a difficult pill to swallow.
It's funny that you say persistence. I've come across very persistent people, and they keep trying. And I don't know where they get their resilience from, but I give them kudos. Because some of us just drop by the wayside, really.
Yes.
Even with counseling.
Yeah,
I
know.
You just say to yourself, this is it.
Yeah. One of the things that we need to look at about the decisions that are made. Because, some people go over it again and again and again. And sometimes I'm very blunt with them to say, look, this decision you're making is not likely that we'll get any result from it. No matter how many times you do it.
Yes.
You probably need to take some other decisions. But you will know that also some of these decisions are difficult. So, and that's why what we can do, the best we can do, is to hold them by the hand and try to lead them to cross the hurdle. But most of the time, you know what? When they've crossed it, I hear so many people sit in front of me and tell me, just like Mr. Diali said,
yes.
Oh, I wish I'd done this a long time ago.
Oh, I know. Thank you so much, Dr. Jai. We appreciate your dedication in helping families and giving them the best decisions when it comes to what choices they have to make. My Fertility Path brings you all you need to know in your journey to fertility. Today, we talked about when IVF fails, what to expect and how to deal with it. Thank you all for watching, and always remember, infertility should never define you. See or speak to someone today. My name is Nse Ikpe Etim. Keep sharing, keep educating, and I will see you next time.
My Fertility Path, brought to you by the Fertility Awareness Advocate Initiative.